What's going on, guys? My name's Chris. I'm with my co-host JP Fluellen, and thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. Well, we're going to talk about strategies to really help real estate agents sell more homes, and they're going to do so while spending less money and less time to do so, all with just modern business tactics. We're in the 21st century. Let's use it. So you can catch us here live on the Success Agent Facebook page. We're working on every Wednesday. I was pretty sick this week, so today's Friday. That's how that happened. So you can usually catch us here every Wednesday, and you can even catch us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We have several other avenues to find us if you want to listen on the road or something like that. Now, last week, we talked about strategically farming your area, both geographically in your database and your sphere. But moving forward, we're going to actually talk about really socially building your team. And doing it in a way that's inviting. So let's just start off. I like contrast. I like black and white. I'm a black and white thinker. Let's just start off, JP. I'm going to ask you, what's the ultimate horrible, no good way of starting and building a team?
That's a uber loaded question.
Well, give me like your bullet points.
So the worst way of starting a team is just basically just grabbing a bunch of people and then recruit, and then hopefully the chips fall where they may.
Right, leaving it to chance.
Leaving it to chance, leaving it to, just, the weak, let the strong survive and the weak will work themselves out, that kind of stuff. But really, truly, you want to create an attraction team. So knowing your stuff, knowing how to structure deals, knowing how to negotiate, knowing how to market, knowing how to position properties and all this kind of stuff. And so the biggest thing there is that you want to try to make sure that the people that you are wanting on your team are going to be in a position to where they're adding value, they're team players, they understand your mission, your vision, all that kind of stuff. And so the thing there is like, you just want to make sure that the people that you're recruiting epitomize what it is that you're trying to show the world, why you're building a team, what is your mission, how do people want to view you in a team? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the idea behind the two different ways to build your team, basically through an interview process, through a disc profile. You want to, doing your due diligence. Bringing team members on your team is like analyzing a property to flip. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that the numbers make sense. You want to make sure that, when you're done with that, you have a decent finished product. These are all things that, make the team function as a team, not just a bunch of people that have a header that are all individuals just running around. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that's important, coming out with the end in mind. Like you're saying, you're not just like throwing a net out there and hoping you get whatever you get and then say, yeah, I'm going to help you guys. I'm going to provide you some sort of some sort of support and then not follow through. And then you ultimately just have a bunch of people running around with their heads cut off who really have no affiliation with one another. They don't care about the other person. They actually look at each other as like maybe even competition, which, I guess it's like a competitive industry for sure. But not everyone's competition. You can learn a lot off of your competitors just by working together. So yeah, I agree. Like the worst way to go about building a team is not having a plan, not having an idea of what you want it to be, and ultimately coming at it from a selfish standpoint of, I'm going to be the team leader. I'm going to take a cut of everyone's stuff and I'm going to maybe provide them with support here and there. And all I'm focused on is getting more and more people to hopefully make more and more money while everyone else just figures it out for themselves. And like with the advent of all this social technology, and obviously there's ways to be social outside of Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. But with the advent of social media and like this live content that we can create and put right out there from 100 miles away, you're 100 miles north, there's a really easy way to provide value to people, and to do so in a holistic and organic way that doesn't really require the old mindset of like, I don't know, like this is a sink or swim environment. Obviously real estate is based on self-success. And if you don't have that motivation, that internal drive to make it work, it's not going to work. But it's also not that sink or swim mentality, or wolf eat wolf, I guess is what I'm saying. You can really learn a lot from people. And even if you're the top dog, if you're modest enough, you can actually learn a lot from the people below you.
Yeah.
Even if it's things you shouldn't do. Maybe you think you know it, but then someone goes out and do it and you're like, oh shit, I really shouldn't do that, but I kind of do every once in a while. So yeah, the worst way to do it would be to be selfish, to not have a plan, and to really come at it as, this is only for me. Everyone else is just going to have to fend for themselves. So transitioning, because I like context or contrast, the best way to build a team, in your opinion?
Best way to build a team is slow and steady.
Yeah.
Because no matter who you bring on your team, you still have to bring value.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be able to give a growth mindset into your folks. And that way, the ones that really get it will stay, and they will really latch on to the things that you're saying and the things that you're, the whole overall goal of having a well-oiled team are going to stay. They're going to not only stay, but they're also going to be an ambassador for your team, and they're going to want to attract people as well.
Right. Yeah, I would say like social recruiting, which we're trying to like split this episode into two different segments. This first one, guys, is going to be focused on, like the real, I guess, like actionable items or ways to really grow the team. But like our next episode is going to be focused on actually like the value you could be providing. So what value looks like to people. And so kind of branching off of what JP is saying, in that, start slow, have a plan, make sure the people you're bringing on are actually nurtured and they get a good feeling about where they are and they know each other. Like they know their, I'll just call them comrades. They know their comrades. That's by far the most important part, just to creating something that's sustainable. Because ultimately you're not trying to make a team to just have it go crash and burn. Teams are expensive. Technology is expensive. But I think more importantly, the time and the frustration is the most expensive. That's what's going to set you back. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I would run across is that when you have people that are not on board with your vision, then you spend all this time and energy to create content and bring value, and they just blow it off because they're not bought in.
Yeah.
And there's several reasons for buying it in, which I'm not going to get into right now. But at the end of the day, like everybody has to be on the same page, and you want to try to eliminate as many barriers of entry as humanly possible. And so it took me a while to figure out what that actually looked like, but I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on it now, with where we're at with our team and what we're doing and the things we're accomplishing, and things are looking really, really, really good. So yeah, it's so important. I mean, I would say mission and vision over everything. Because you can create all the content and the systems and all that stuff, but if people are not bought into what it is that you're trying to do, then none of it, all that is done for nothing. And so it's really important. And then kind of going back to also team building, on the platform that we're on, we can build teams outside of our own state. So we can, go to events across the country and get people bought into what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And I think that that's huge because I mean, real estate is a universal language. I mean, there's different things that are specific to like transactional things, but I mean, in terms of like there's people, there's houses, there's closings. I mean, all this stuff, so people get it. I mean, when you start
Right.
talking real estate, you can talk, I just spent 4 days down in Miami. And one of my buddies was down there, and he, just a shout out to Chris Donaldson. And, we sat for the first night we got there, we talked about real estate for 4 hours. I mean, that tells you like,
heck yeah,
like it's just one of those things where you may have different lives, you may have different belief systems, you may have different things, but when you come together and you start talking real estate, man, it's like you found your long lost brother or something, and you're just like, oh my God, what you just go on and on and on and on and on. And when you're all on the same page, man, it's just, it's a beautiful thing, And so I would say, one of the big takeaways from this is take a look at your platform, take a look at where you're at, and does it allow you to be universal in what it is that you're trying to accomplish in your real estate career?
Sure.
Because if it binds you down to one spot and you can't branch out, if there's not opportunity outside of your local space, you may want to go out there and try to reevaluate things, because it's very liberating when you can realize how free you can be in this business, in terms of how you structure, the way you get paid. I mean, honestly. So.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I love, I mean, and kind of speaking about like branching outwards, the possibilities are obviously endless, especially like I mentioned, social technology and just technology in general, software primarily. It's amazing what you can do. Now, you kind of mentioned people don't buy in for different reasons. And I kind of want to go a little bit deeper into what those reasons are. You could just give like a high level, why do you, like, what's that barrier that people find to really adopting a certain mindset or adopting a vision? What are those few barriers that you can just quickly spout out?
I think one of the big barriers is that they don't have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
They don't want to build a business. They want to just build a job. Or, because when you're building a team, it's like any team, you have your coach and you got your players, and ultimately, you want to go to the championship. And so when everybody that's on your team, if you've got one or two people that don't really care if they go or don't care, then, you're not of like-mindedness. Yeah. And so then, those people eventually will become toxic, and then you got to trade them. Dude, got to trade them.
Right.
Trade them where they need to get out and they need to retire, and so ultimately, when you have the one goal in mind, which is to get to the big dance, and people are not, on board with that, then you have to, you got to decide, do you want them on your team or don't you? Are they going to be toxic, or, or is it going to be something where they need remedial training, or something where you got to have difficult conversations, or you got to do these different things? But I mean, I think big picture wise, to have a successful team, everybody has to be on the same path.
So besides not having an entrepreneur mindset, what else would there be? Limits?
Money. Another one's money. How is the payment structure set up, and is it favorable? The other one is, probably the other one is, what have you done for me lately? And
right.
Selfish mindset. And when you have a selfish mindset and it's all about what's in it for me, then, then there's going to be problems, Right.
Yeah. And arguably, everyone's always thinking, what's in it for me? But as the team leader, you have to kind of step out of that role and think, okay, what can I provide for you?
Right.
I mean, it's literally the same thought process, same exact thing, but just invert it. Take on that role and really harness that power that you just created for yourself. But if you don't harness it properly, it's meaningless.
Yeah.
It's
it's all about providing good content and delivering every single time.
Yeah.
And in real estate, some of this stuff is very, very elementary, and you get beaten over the head with it. But ultimately, realtors are realtors are good listeners, but they're horrible implementers.
Yeah.
They're really good at talking the game, doing the thing, but they're really poor at implementing. And so one of the fine balances that I have is I want to do these podcasts, I want to do these trainings, I want to do these coachings, and then I still, right now, and at least where I'm at in my business right now, I still have to buy and sell real estate. But the goal is to keep pushing and keep going hard and getting to the point where I can remove myself from the day-to-day sales piece and give as much value add to my team as humanly possible.
Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing out of all of this, just so we can kind of wrap this up, is, as a team leader, you have to you have to accept taking on a full-time job that's separate from just real estate, because you're not just doing real estate. You're also taking on the culture, the nurturing and the cultivation of the agents below you and listening to what they need. I mean, you kind of become like an HR person, hearing what they need and then providing that. Just having an open ear, that's probably more than like 85% of the people in the industry. But you got to go one step further if you really want to make it to that top tier success. And more importantly, you really want to bring your team with you, because again, it's not just about you. It's about your whole team, the whole culture, and what you all can do as a collective unit in several different markets, ultimately, if you can really plan it out right.
Yeah, and we ultimately don't want, not everybody has the mindset of being an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur. We would enjoy people being intrapreneurs, where they're all bought into the unifying, mindset, and they all are looking towards moving forward together. So yeah. I think that kind of wraps things up, don't you think?
I think it's pretty nice. Nice little finisher right there.
So there you go.
Cool. All right, JP, how can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at james.fluellen@gmail.com. You can reach me at YOHomes on Twitter. You can reach me at jfluellen on Instagram, or you can reach me at JP's Real Estate page on Facebook, or you can just Google JP Fluellen. I am everywhere, and then I'm nowhere. So if you're not looking, you're not going to find me. So there you go.
Implementation, guys. If you want to find him, just go find him.
Right.
I'm, I guess, a little bit harder to find, but not really. If you're watching on our Facebook page, Success Agent Podcast, just ping me right there. I take control of the page, and I'll definitely get back to you. Just find my personal page as well. Chris Parsons. I'm working on my real estate page. So I'm going to have plenty of avenues for you to reach me as well. But I would say the easiest one to do would just be through Facebook, or alternatively, you can use my email, chris.successagent@gmail.com. Next week, guys, like I said, we're going to be talking about what value is to people. Really some concrete ideas on the different content that you can create, and really customizing it for you and your personality. You don't want to be a robot just spitting out stuff that people have already said. You need to not only adopt it for yourself, but actually teach it in a way that you would want to teach it, in a way that you understand. That's the only way it's going to get across properly. Until then, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right. See ya.
See you later, man.
Later.